When I was in 5th grade, my teacher told me when I grew up, the best career that I could have was to be a janitor. And the most painful part wasn't the fact that he said it. It was the fact that I actually believed it. So for the moments for me to be seen, I learned to disappear. And for years, I thought that was only my story. Until later, I realized most of us are carrying a voice that was never ours. And like a lotus, we are meant to rise. And sometimes what is holding us back is not the mud. It is this invisible box that we learn to live inside. And that's what I call the Lotus Box. In my past career, I was in Hollywood. I made movies. And there is one moment that I keep replaying in my mind. And I keep asking myself, why did I not do it? I worked on a movie called Looper. Some of you guys may have seen it. It's an amazing movie starring Bruce Willis, Joseph Gordon-Levitt, and this fantastic director, Rian Johnson. And in a production meeting where all the major decisions are being made, the director, Rian Johnson, turned around and looked at me. And he said, "I would like you to be in the movie." And I looked at him and I'm thinking, me? Are you talking to me? And then he said, "I would like you to play a girl, an Asian girl, rejecting Joseph Gordon-Levitt." I'm telling you guys, at that moment, I was like a little girl. I was giggling because he is one of the hottest actors that I have ever worked with. And in a moment like that, when everyone would say yes, you know what I said? I said, no. Because in that moment, I was not just on a set in Hollywood. I was back in a classroom in Taiwan. I was a 5th grade in Taiwan. And Taiwan is a culture where you do not question authorities. You don't question your teacher. Whatever the teacher said is right. You don't challenge it. You learn to stay silent. And in the Asian culture, silent doesn't just mean silent. Silent can mean protection, it can mean survival, and it can mean respect. And while I'm going to be sharing with you the Asian culture, because I am Asian, I want you to know every culture has its way of teaching people who they should become. So I wasn't a strong student in most subjects, but there was one that I was really good at, and it was English, because I was born in the United States of America. But the thing is, my teacher did not know that. So he always thought I was cheating. But the problem is, he could not prove it. And then one day, he realized that I am an international student. And that's when everything started to change. And one day, he asked me in front of 50 students, he said, "Is there dodgeball in America?" I said, "Yeah," without a flinch, because I have played it before. And then he looked at me, and then he said, "你骗人，美国没有躲避球. You're lying. There is no dodgeball in America." And I was shocked. And I was doubting myself because I had played it before, but I cannot prove it because Google didn't even exist back then. And then he looked at me, and then he said, 你长大，你最好去当个清洁工. When you grow up, you best to become a janitor. So I stood there. I didn't question it. I didn't challenge it. I simply accepted it. And without knowing, I learned to stay silent. And that voice, "You will mess this up," followed me all the way to that moment in Hollywood. And that point, I did not understand, but I knew something felt off. It felt like once in a lifetime opportunity was slipping away. I mean, you are rejecting one of the hottest actors in Hollywood. It wasn't until later that I finally understood what happened. I was not reacting to the moment on set. I was reacting to a belief that was given to me a long time ago. I wasn't saying no to the movie, but I was saying yes to that old voice. I wasn't lacking talent. I was not lacking opportunity. I was operating inside of an old script that was not mine. Researcher Marcia Baxter Magolda calls this moment the crossroad. It's when the life that you were told to live no longer matched the life that you actually want. And that Hollywood moment was my crossroad. I didn't know it then, but I felt friction inside. Now I know it was a signal. And it took me time to decode it. Then I finally saw it. I wasn't just lost. I was inside something that I cannot see. And I call it the Lotus Box.
A lotus is a sacred and stunning flower. It is delicate and yet incredibly resilient. It doesn't grow in calm waters or perfect conditions. It grows in mud. It is dark, it is dense, and it is untouchable. The kind of places where most beautiful things do not survive. And yet, the lotus doesn't just survive, it rises. And it pushes upwards even without knowing what light looks like. But here's the part people don't always tell you. Even when it reaches the surface, not every lotus blooms, not fully. Because sometimes the cage isn't made out of mud. It is made out of thoughts, beliefs that's been passed down for generations. A box shaped by culture, expectation, trauma, silence, and achievement. Individually, these don't seem harmful, but together, they shape an identity that you never chose. And the most dangerous part, you're so unaware, you don't even know that you're inside of it. So even when we reach the surface, we don't bloom, we shrink to survive. And until you can see the box, you will build a life inside of it.
And until you can see the box, you will keep building a life inside of it. And that is the part that hit me. Because in that moment, for the first time, I could see the box. My box was shaped by the Asian culture. And what had boxed me in the most was a fear of being seen. There's even a term for it. It's called the bamboo ceiling. It's the invisible barrier when you work hard and when you cheat and you follow the rules and you still feel unseen. And your box could be different. It could be a parent's expectation. It could be a teacher's label, a religion, a past relationship, even your success and failures. My point is, the box may be shaped differently, but the feeling is the same. And you may be living inside of a version of yourself that once protected you, but now keeping you small. And the moment that I decided that I was going to take the stage today, that voice, "You are going to mess this up," showed up again. But this time, I recognized the voice. This time, I decided to confront the voice. This time, I refused to stay inside that box. And I knew I was going to break the box. And this is what I call the Lotus method. And you have already seen every step of the way. L. L stands for liberate the self. You must give yourself permission and allow yourself to ask questions. Questions like, what is it that I love? What do I actually want? If tomorrow is my last day, who do I want to be remembered as? Because once you know the answers to those questions, that's when you start to see the box. Oh, own your path. I used to be very good at making other people's movie, and I was a great supporting role. But the problem is, somewhere along the lines, I lost my power. And it wasn't until that I started to own my story, I started to own my path, that's when I start to take the power back. Your past does not equal your future. Your past does not get to write your story. And the moment that you decide to author your story, that is the moment that you start to take your power back. T, turn your setback into comeback. I'm not going to be the only person in this room to experience betrayal, abandonment, failure, and setback. Those are human experiences that we all go through in life. But what I want to remind you is the pain and struggle that we experience, those are signals. They are not your weaknesses. And when you can listen to those signals, you can channel them into your superpower. And then you could turn your setback into comeback, and you could turn your pain into art. Me standing right here, you're witnessing me doing exactly that. I turn a moment of silence into a message. I turn a moment that I thought I once lost into the reason why I am standing here today. You, unblock culture conditioning. This is a sensitive one because I am not here to reject my past. I am proud of where I came from. You can respect where you come from and not sacrifice where you are going. Our beliefs were inherited. They were given to us in our culture, in our upbringing, and in our environment. I was taught to stay quiet, to stay small. At one point, those beliefs protected me, but they were also keeping me small. Unblock culture conditioning means asking yourself, is this belief honoring who I am? Or is this belief limiting to who I am becoming? Because you can honor your roots and still choose your path. S, step into your true identity. Because at one point, you must decide who you are becoming. The moment that you decide who you are becoming, that is when you start to break the box. You don't break the box by waiting. You break the box by becoming someone that the box can no longer hold. A lotus seed can stay buried for thousands of years, and when met in the right condition, it still blooms into a lotus. Because a lotus seed never stopped being a lotus, and neither did you. So today, I invite you to ask yourself, were you told who to be? I was. I was told my best career when I grew up was to become a janitor. But that was not my story to hold, and that is not who I chose to become. So today, I'm not asking you to change your life, but I am asking you to take a moment for yourself and ask yourself, who am I? And this is how I would like to close it. The greatest threat in uncertain times is not failure. It is leading from who you used to be and not who you are becoming. And the moment that you decide who you are, you become the person the box can no longer hold. And you bloom into the lotus that you were always meant to be. Thank you.